Hey guys, how's it going? So, it is stormy today. Drink of the day, just my polar orange vanilla seltzer water. It's good stuff. So, we're gonna do a little something different today. I was in a situation earlier that made me realize that we need to discuss some things. So basically this is about like keeping your eyes on a swivel, your head on a swivel at all times, being cognizant of like what's going on around you. It's funny because I always seem to find myself in these awkward situations, Okay. Being at the rally last year, and now a situation like this, which I'm fine, everything's fine, but it could have probably gone a lot different. And I just consider myself fortunate. I think, and I could be totally off basis on this, but I don't think I am. So anyways, let me just tell you what happened and stop beating around the bush. I went to Lowe's to pick up stuff that they didn't even have for Jeff, and on my way out of the Lowe's, like I was leaving, and the way it was set up, like the aisle I was in was close to the enter door. And so I was not thinking, and I was like going out the enter, and I know some Lowe's don't like the doors don't open only one way. So if you're entering, you have to be entering for the doors to open, and if you're exiting, you have to go out the exit doors for them to open. Well, people came in, and I went through the first set of doors, and then the door didn't like want to open, and so I was like not flustered, but a little bit flustered, and I like turned around, and I noticed this guy walk past me, and the door opened, and I was like, oh, I guess it does open. And so he kind of like paused and waited till I was like side by side with him, and he goes, "You look good today." And it was a very awkward interaction, and I said thanks, and I start to walk, and I walk briskly when I'm trying to go someplace, and I noticed that this guy was walking along with me, like 2 steps behind maybe, and I always park at the end of the parking lot, so I don't park close, and I'm walking and I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, and this guy's right there, like right there. And so immediately my brain, I went, this guy's following me. And I'm still walking, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm throwing fists in the Lowe's parking lot today. This is going to happen. And I'm just watching him, and I'm thinking to myself, he's on my right side. That's my dominant side. If this man reaches out to grab me, what's my next move? Because I was starting to get a little freaked out at the fact that he was literally right here. I could see him out of my peripheral vision if I just went like this and looked out of the corner of my eye. And so I'm keeping my eyes on him the whole time, waiting for him to like make a move or go to his car or do something. And he's just right there, and I'm 2 spots away from my truck, and I'm like, any minute now, And I turn around and I like glared at him, like, probably, I will end you if you come 1 step closer to me. And this man did an about face and took off through the parking lot and like disappeared. I don't know where he went. I just got in the truck as fast as I could and like locked the door. And I have no idea where he went. I suspect I saw a vehicle leave. It was a small truck, and it had a cap on it. And I thought maybe that would have been him. And he kind of like hightailed it out of the parking lot. And I just kind of sat there for a minute to make sure there was no cars like circling me or doing anything. Then I realized that sitting next to me in the parking spot, like there was an empty spot and then a truck next to me. It was a Tundra, and that truck had been idling, and I'm assuming there was somebody in it, and that's probably why this guy turned and left, because he might have thought that there was at least a witness there, or maybe I was going to that truck. So crisis averted and all is good, and I have no proof, so it's not like I could notify authorities or anything like that, because I literally had no proof. I can just come on here and say, what happened. I have a like very photographic memory, so I definitely got a good look at this guy. He was probably an inch or so shorter than me, so at least I was prepared that maybe this could be at least an even fight if something went down. When I was younger, I took self-defense. I took Taekwondo, and so I was immediately in self-defense mode. Not that I remember all of those moves too much, but I remember basics. And these are things that we need to discuss, especially women. And there is something I'm going to touch on about, with men towards the end here. But women, we need to put down our phones when we're in the public by ourselves. We need to be absolutely clear of what's going on around us. We need to be present in the moment, not messing around on our cell phones and not paying attention to what's going on, and absolutely clear and alert and ready to take action if needed. Now, I did make a post on my Facebook page about this, and one woman said, if you feel in danger, you can go talk to the store and they will walk you to your car. That is true, and that's something that we all need to remember that is possible. But also remember, I was already outside when this interaction occurred, so that would have been more difficult, because had I turned around and made a beeline to the store, I don't know what would have happened. Again, this could have really been nothing, but it could have also really been something. So it's always really good to make sure that you have a game plan. Now, I had, in that brief moment from the time I had the interaction at the door and this man followed me through the parking lot, I already knew what my plan of action was going to be. I assumed he was going to grab my right arm, or the right side of my body, which is my dominant side. I'm right-handed. So I already knew that it wasn't like I was coming around with a right hook, obviously, because that would have been my right side. If you guys aren't up on your self-defense, I strongly encourage you to go take self-defense lessons. For me, I was going to go for the eye. You take your thumb and you go right in the corner of the eye. That was the only thing I could think to do. And then a nice knee to the man bits. That's exactly what I had planned in my head. I could envision it happening, and I was like ready for it. So the biggest thing I can say is, when you are finding yourself in situations like this and you can identify that something's happening and there's nobody around that can help you, have something in your head ready to go. And this is why I strongly encourage you to take self-defense classes of some sort. And also, my concealed carry permit had expired, so I wasn't carrying, and I will be taking care of that situation ASAP. However, even had I been carrying, it would have been behind or in front, and it would be right hand draw. So my right hand would have been otherwise occupied had this person grabbed me. So you always have to be considering, like, what am I going to do? Even if you had a purse on that had your piece in there, you wouldn't be able to grab it if you only have one hand. So these are all things that you need to consider. And this is why I strongly encourage you to take self-defense lessons, because it's going to teach you how to react in a situation, how to identify possible issues. And it could very well save your life. Now, again, I don't know if this man had ill intentions. I don't know if he was just very awkward and wanted to ask me out on a date. I don't know. But I was prepared for the worst. You hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And that's the situation I was in. Fortunate for me, I really do think that the Tundra that was idling was probably what saved me from either more awkward interactions or something worse, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't my deathly glare that I gave him that made him turn around and beat feet, although it could have been. I've been told I was intimidating before, so it wouldn't be a first, but I really strongly think that it was probably that Tundra, which is another point. If you're walking through a parking lot somewhere and you feel like somebody's following you, watch for another person in the parking lot or an idling car and go straight for it. If there's somebody sitting in an idling car, open the door up and get in. Pretend like you know them and tell them, hey, look, somebody's following me. I'm sure 9 times out of 10, they'll be fine with it. Just always stay on a swivel. It could be the difference between life and death, and you just don't know anymore. You just don't know. There's people that come up missing every single day. I could have been one of those people today. Pretty sure they would have returned me. Live or dead, I'm not sure. They probably would have returned me, okay? And just know, if I ever come up missing, I will run my mouth until the bitter end. But today we avoided that crisis. And I lightly joke about it, but it really isn't a funny matter. I will also say Men, keep your eyes on a swivel, because if you see somebody following a woman through the parking lot and that woman looks uncomfortable, it might be worthwhile to interject. Come over and say, hey, how you doing? Act like you know her. Anything. Because you don't know either. And I would rather have somebody I don't know come over and make awkward conversation and save myself, save my butt. Even if it's a misunderstanding, even if, you're just walking through the parking lot and you're pissed at your husband at the moment and somebody comes over and is like, okay, everything's fine. I thought, he was following you. You're good. It's fine. I think it's important that we look out for one another because, again, we are so oblivious as a population anymore, completely oblivious as to what is going on around us. I've seen people on their cell phones walk out in front of cars that could have easily run them over. You just have no idea. People have no idea what's going on around them. And it's really terrifying if you think about it. But this is just kind of me popping on here real quick to say, take care of yourself. At the end of the day, the only person responsible for protecting you is yourself. And in this day and age, with so much going on, it's really important to learn. Like, I need to brush up on some of my skills, to be honest with you. Even though I'm pretty confident in my mental acuity and my ability to come up with a game plan in a short period of time, actually being in that situation, actually being grabbed and following through with what you need to do, those are two totally different things. And so, this is not the first time I've had a weird parking lot situation. This is the first time that I was pretty sure somebody was following me. So, yeah, this is just, and I'm fine. I'm not weirded out or anything. Like, I'm totally fine. I'm good. But I do want to relay this to you guys because I think it's really, really important that we all, take up for ourselves, make sure that we're safe. Who knows, you could have your kid with you and maybe somebody tries to grab your child. How are you going to react to that? So we need to look out for each other and just make sure you try to educate yourself as good as possible. There's all types of different scenarios and situations that we can find ourselves in that result in not good, Again, I used to watch The Walking Dead, especially when it first came out. And I remember walking into buildings like a Walmart or whatever and going cataloging the store, the layout, and then what would I do if a horde of zombies come in or something like that. But it's a good mindset to kind of have in the back of your head is what would I do? How would I react? How will I protect myself with what I have around me, which I had nothing. I don't even carry a purse, okay? So it was me, myself, and I, and usually my truck keys has a knife on it, but I was in Jeff's truck and his doesn't. So I was bare knuckling this, I was going to town with just my fists, and had this guy been, 6'3" and a brute, I would have really been screwed. But there's still situations where a teeny tiny woman like myself, there's pressure points, there's different spots that you can hit if you're able to access them where you could drop somebody like that, but you have to educate yourself so that you know how to do it. So this is just my PSA and me reaching out to all of you guys saying, hey, look, anything can happen to anyone at any point in time. Go learn how to defend yourself in all situations. Because like I said, even if I was carrying, had this guy grab me, it would have been on my right side. I would have had no access to pull my gun. So yeah, take care of yourselves. Look after yourselves. I don't ever want to see anybody come up missing and have terrible, terrible things happen. I'm very fortunate that today went as it did. And I also, like I said, I have no evidence one way or another. I just have my sneaky spidey sense that tells me something was not right. But I got lucky. And I hope you guys take this as a warning, I guess, that it could happen to you too. And I don't want to see anything bad happen. So I'm going to stop rambling. I hope you guys take this advice and use it and learn from it, because it could really save your life someday. So with that, guys, I hope you had a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.